Hello, this is Todd Mosman, VCIO with Century Business Technologies. This presentation is about reducing security threats through layered security. So let's use our home as an example. If you take a look at these 5 areas, you've got identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. And if we look underneath each one of those, you can see all the different options that we have in order to protect one of our biggest investments, our home. Some of us have alarm systems. Some of us have doorbell cameras. We've got locks and fences. We've got baseball bats and dogs, and maybe a fireproof safe. Hopefully we have good insurance coverage. Maybe all our family pictures are out there in the cloud. They're not sitting in a binder in the family room that gets burned up with the fire or blown away with the tornado. So using those same 5 areas that we use on the previous slide with our home, let's take a look at those from a business standpoint. Under identify, we've got things like network assessments, security assessments, dark web scans, our policy and procedures, and if we are regulated under some compliancy regulations, are we meeting those? Under protect, we have a firewall, we have antivirus, spam filtering. Maybe we're using multi-factor authentication to make it more difficult for the hackers to break into our system. Are we using any identity management controls for access controls? And do we need to have any of our files encrypted depending on compliancy? What kind of detection tools do we have in place? Are they the standard detection tools, or are we using something more complex? Do we have to do internal or external penetration testing to make sure that our systems are secure? Now that many of our customers are using Office 365, there's specific tools available there in order to increase security. And very important, are we doing a review in these areas on a regular basis to make sure that we are meeting the latest regulations, but also using the latest best business practices and tools in order to provide security for our system? We have to look beyond just detecting to respond. Do we have an incident and breach response plan and policy? Do we have a business continuity plan? Have we retained the partners necessary to help us recover from a breach? And that's not only legal, but that's also forensics for remediation. And do we also have a plan if we do have to respond to a breach in a post-mortem audit process? Because the insurance companies, before they pay, there's a lot of information that has to be given during the application process for reimbursement. And if you don't have those correct, it could mean the difference of getting no reimbursement or being completely reimbursed, depending on what kind of insurance that you have. And then the recovery process, do we have the correct cyber security insurance? And you can't use that face value of, say, $250,000 as a barometer for how much you can tap, because different types of remediation within a breach is covered under different amounts on different insurance policies. Do we have a backup system in place that's not only cloud but on premise? And are we able to get our files restored in the case of a breach, or are they also going to be affected by that breach? Do we have a cyber response team and a plan put together? Do we need to have emergency hardware available in case of a natural disaster so we can continue to support our clients? And do we have a good, actionable disaster recovery plan that is ready to go? Across all of these areas, we need to look at one important component, and that is cyber security awareness training, because our employees are our first line of defense when it comes to keeping the bad actors out of our system. Statistics show that the large majority of cyber attacks are initiated because of social engineering, getting our good employees to make the wrong decision to click on a link or provide credentials thinking that it is a legitimate request. So cybersecurity awareness training has to be done on a regular basis, and it is continuous. Taking a look at this slide, across those 5 areas, most organizations have a single layer of defense, and those are the areas that are shaded in green. One of the things that we wanted to do with our Secure Plus subscription was to be able to fill in a lot of the areas under each category to provide additional protection. So the Secure Plus plan that we have available actually brings all of those yellow areas in with the green areas to provide additional coverage for our clients. This slide represents the evolution of IT cybersecurity. If we go back to the 90s, most computers were not connected to each other outside of maybe an internal network, and certainly were not connected to the internet. So the threats were not as prevalent as they are today. Today, we've got a good set of security solutions, but as the level of security has matured, we need to add additional security measures in order to provide a high level of protection. We've got to think about governance and compliance and regulations that are now being pushed down to the smaller organizations that maybe weren't needing to be regulatory compliant in the past. And the biggest thing is an incident response plan is what's needed in order to be able to recover from the type of threats that happen today, and especially with a breach. We need to understand the risk level. And looking at this slide, you can see the light bulb. Some people think they're too small in order to worry about higher levels of cybersecurity. Some think it's just too expensive in order to have higher levels of security. Compare that to the cost, sometimes almost 6 figures now, for recovering from a breach. It's inconvenient because maybe there's more complex passwords that you have to use in order to protect your systems. And there's just some blind trust out there. They maybe have an IT person, they think they have them covered until they get hacked, and they realize that they've been spending most of their time running around with the fire extinguisher, putting out the little problems and not really looking at the big picture. Some don't think their data is important. Well, the data is important to you, and if it is, are you going to pay money to get it unlocked if a hacker was to crypto lock your data and hold it for ransom? So today, the client expectations look like this. Every user, any device, all the systems, no matter where they are in the world, they want to be protecting every click 24/7 by 365. This is a tall order, but we have to remember that the systems that we're using every day to run our business and to take care of our clients is not always sitting behind the firewall in our office. The remote worker is at home working. They're at Starbucks working. They're at the client site working. We have to be able to protect those systems when they're outside of our office. So let's look at the bad and the ugly as it relates to the changing security threat landscape. Do we agree on these points? Cyber criminals do exist. They're attempting daily millions of times to hack into our business systems. Cybercrime creates a huge mess. It causes damage to your business, damage to your reputation, huge loss of productivity, creates a lot of pain, and does cost a lot of money to get remediated. The cyber criminals are not going to stop anytime soon. They're going to continue to do what they do. And we have to look at it from this standpoint. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when will I get hit with a cyber attack. And if we're not prepared for that, it can be a huge issue to resolve. So the reason why clients need to look at what we're offering is because we don't want to have this conversation with a client. Why didn't you warn me sooner? If there were better ways to protect my organization from cybercrime, how come I didn't know about them? And now I've had an attack and I've got a huge mess on my hands. So here's some common questions that you might be thinking. The agreement that I have with my IT service provider, it covers any of my costs if I get hacked, right? Well, the short answer is no, because hacking into someone's technology is a crime. It's no different as if they had broken into your business, done vandalism, stole your computer equipment, loaded a virus on there without you knowing it, and causing a huge business interruption. And this is why you have business interruption and cybersecurity insurance. Just like you have insurance, if you have a fire, you have hopefully have coverage for that. If someone breaks into your business and steals your equipment, hopefully you have coverage to replace that hardware so it doesn't come out of pocket. But the important thing is that with all of the risks that there are today, do you have enough coverage? And is it the right coverage? There are many different types of coverages out there. And I mentioned in an earlier slide that you can't look at that face value of your cybersecurity binder and think, I have, let's say, $250,000 available to me for all of my recovery costs if I was to have a security breach and a cybersecurity attack. Some specific coverage areas are not at that full $250,000. Some of them may be at $10,000. And are you prepared to pony up the difference in the costs depending on what you need to do in order to recover from a breach? Common question is, I thought using a managed service provider would keep my business safe from cyber attacks. It's a great question. It does to an extent, but today's threat actors are improving their skills and now they're attacking in different ways that the single layers of tools or the traditional security measures are not covering. And while you still need to have those in place, you need more layers of protection for your organization. You might have the thought, hey, I don't think this is really going to affect my business. I could just pick up the pieces after an incident happens. Seriously, you want to deal with the lost revenue, the angry clients, your reputation gets damaged, you lose clients, and the chaos that a breach will create, losing access to your files. Do you want to notify your clients that you had a breach? How excited do you think they're going to be to know that maybe their confidential data that you have on your system may be compromised? Just like when we've had our credit cards or our bank account numbers and credentials compromised. So do you want your company breach featured in a headline on the 6 o'clock news? I don't think so. So there's got to be a way to completely protect my business from being hacked and being extorted by cyber criminals. And the answer to that is yes, there is. You disconnect all the network cables on your network, you cancel your internet service, you never get online again, and you stop using email. Basically, you go back to the 1960s. I don't think that's an option in today's business climate. So how do I get protected? CenturyCare SecurePlus cybersecurity program. We've worked hard with our vendors to put together a comprehensive set of layered protection, and we focus on 6 critical areas. The first one is securing all of the technology. We install dedicated threat detection and lockout software in addition to what we already have on your systems to help lock out those systems in the event that a threat is detected. This keeps that threat from proliferating throughout the network and infecting more systems on your network. So our remediation footprint is much smaller, if not none at all, except for maybe that one machine or that one place where that threat was able to get in. Dark web monitoring. We do continuous dark web monitoring and reporting, looking for credentials for users in your organization that could be for sale on the dark web and make sure we get those remediated and changed so they can't become a threat. Legal representation. Part of the Secure Plus cybersecurity program, you have access to a U.S. law firm that has over 70 lawyers and their associates, and they specialize in legal representation for companies that have had a breach or a cyber crime. Breach remediation, also another firm that is able to step in, respond, and go through restoration services, clean up the systems, help you get back up and running, and more importantly, make sure there isn't any remnants of the infection left over that can come back and reinfect your systems. Automated cybersecurity awareness training. This is continuous, it's for all your users, and it is very timely, emphasizing on the latest techniques that the threat actors are using to try to gain access to your systems, and train your first line of defense, your employees, not to click on something that they shouldn't. And then finally, $250,000 of cyber insurance, crime insurance. Now, this is in addition to what you already may have with your current insurance provider. It is not to replace that. This is in addition to the current insurance that you have right now. Hopefully you do have some cybersecurity insurance already. So what does it cost to get this program put in? So to cover these 6 critical areas of layered protection, it is priced at $350 a month for up to 10 users and 10 endpoints. And an endpoint is a PC on your desk. It is a laptop. It is a server. We charge a one-time fee of $99 per user to onboard, set up everything. If you have additional users over the 10 that are included in the basic package, it's $35 a month plus that $99 onboarding fee. Some companies may have, let's say they have 10 users, but they've got 3 servers and 2 of their users have laptops as well as desktops. So we just add up the additional endpoints over 10 and we charge an additional $12 per month per PC or laptop or server. That allows the software to be installed to protect those machines and provide protection. The term for this service is 1 year. So in summary, cybercrime is real. It's here to stay. It's only going to get worse. Don't be a victim. Get protected now. So I urge you to reach out to me at this phone number or email, and let's schedule a complete assessment and put together a Secure Plus cybersecurity protection plan customized for your organization. Thank you.